The economy is in a state of panic right now today. When you see what has happened with the US dollar, look at all of the other currencies, all central banks and their governments are doing their very best to devalue the currency. And what does that mean to you? It means you've got less disposable income. It means that you cannot afford the basic essentials. For millions of people, that's happening right here and now. We don't have to wait for a future event. It's going on right here. And there are certain pieces of both anecdotal evidence as well as documented facts that I will show you today, and I'll highlight it, we'll expand on it, and I want you to stick with me because I'm going to give you some really good stuff. Let's begin right here. California's population dropped by 500,000 in 2 years as exodus continues. I use the term exodus, and people, I saw the comments saying, this is not right. I don't agree. I don't think it's this and that. You are this, you are that. Look, I take these words from the articles. That's how I build the title. That's how I build the thumbnails. Please. Okay, I'm literally taking that from Bloomberg. I'm taking that from Wall Street Journal and so on. This is the terms that they use, and I am simply taking that and pasting it where it needs to be. The California exodus has shown no sign of slowing down as the state's population dropped by more than 500,000 people between April 20 and July 22, with the number of residents leaving surpassing those moving in by nearly 700,000. Why? Think for a second, why is this happening? You could see, we've got New York, same situation. All right? They do give their reasons why. There's a lot of restrictions. What was happening during all the lockdowns that were going on in New York and other places? People were saying, I would really like to go on a vacation. They were doing that in Florida. Florida was open for the most part. So a lot of people were saying, you know what, we're just going to go there. Businesses during that period of time were saying, we're not going to do our expansion in New York anymore or New Jersey. I think it's best we open an office in Florida. Same thing going on with California. A lot of these businesses, a lot of individuals, either with wealth or even without wealth, they're saying, you know what, I'm going to go to Texas. I'm going to go to Arizona. I'm going to go here and there. They want more favorable regulations, taxation. Maybe it's because of freedom, because of all the lockdowns and things. They weren't happy. They weren't happy about that. There are different reasons. But of course, cost of living needs to be discussed. That's what this video is about. I would like to know, by the way, lockdowns and so on and everything that's been happening, regulations, laws. What do you think? Do you think that's a contributing factor? Let me know in the comments. But for this video, we talk about the economy here on this channel. Cost of living is so important as to determine what's going to happen in your city. You have to factor in the jobs. Are the jobs moving in? If you are going to invest in an area, you're thinking, I'm going to buy some real estate here. Do you do that because it's cheap and you could afford it? Or do you do it because you make sound decisions? You got to understand that when you see all of the data that comes through, you got to look at vacancies. Very important. You have to look at how many permits there are. You're seeing a lot of permits. People are trying to build and develop. That's good. You have to look at how many cranes. There's a crane index. You got to look at, are the jobs moving in or out? If I look at a place like New York is not going to go away. Obviously, it's an important city, but is that where you want to put your capital right now? Is that where you want to move your business? Is that where you want to keep yourself and your family? That's up to you to decide. But there are other places that have more potential. Certain things, they get to a certain point, it's hard to grow beyond it. Just like many of these blue chip stocks, maybe Amazon or others, where they get to a certain point and you're just not going to get as much growth as you did in the years prior. It's the same thing with where you live. Watch very closely where you live, where you have your investments, because things are changing. Cost of living is critical to understand for so many things. The jobs just aren't there. That means that the money's just not there. That means businesses won't be able to grow. And that means If businesses don't grow, they're not hiring people. Like, it works both ways. US retail sales in January jumped by the most in almost 2 years, suggesting, I'll get into that in the second year, suggesting that strong consumer spending will keep prices elevated and increase pressure on the Fed to step up its efforts to tamp down inflation. Home builder sentiment rose in February by the most since 2020, and as easing mortgages have boosted the housing market. That's true, no doubt about it. Retail sales were strong across the board. Together with the strong jobs report, show that this is a resilient economy, okay? What they call the Goldilocks. Where was the last time the word Goldilocks was being used? If you have been on this channel, I was talking about Goldilocks every day for a year. Do you remember what year that was? You guess it. You guessed it if you can remember. The year Goldilocks, over and over again. That was 2017. 13 months, actually, the entire year plus a month, 13 months in a row, the stock market went up. It wasn't a down month. Unbelievable. You don't get that too often. So what you can see here, the same thing going on. Is it a strong consumer or is it a lot of debt? And it is, because we see the credit card usage, payday loans, and so on. Watch out. Be very clear and concise with where you're getting that information from when you see this type of thing. Anecdotal evidence. McDonald's launches trial of budget range called Savor Meals that bundles burgers with a side and a drink as it hikes prices of 5 popular menu items due to rising energy and food costs. This is coming out of the UK, but same situation everywhere. I'm sort of confused to be honest with you, about these Savor Meals, like the combo. Doesn't a combo exist? Maybe it's a different story in the UK. My friends in the UK, please let me know. But the point here is they have to develop cheaper options because people aren't able to spend what they did before. Watch for this in other places as well. It's kind of reminding me of shrinkflation, stack fill, these terms in which essentially highlight the fact that the company is going to reduce the amount of that product they give to you, and they're going to probably just charge you more or the same. Either way, you're not going to get what you did before. The gas bill of $900, sticker shock for Californians as prices soar. Prices on everything. It's not just food, but we see it on energy. We see it on basically anything where people are burdened so heavily. And you've seen this as an example. Sticker shock for the gas bill in California. Why do you think people are leaving? Obviously, people are not just going to leave for one issue. To move, it takes money. To move, it takes energy and time and so on. But you got to look at that trend and you got to be realistic. Is this where you think the area you're in right now, is that the most conducive for your goals? Maybe you want to have more income. Maybe you want to raise your family in an area that actually respects you and wants you to be there, wants you to develop it. And they're not going to be upset because you have a garden growing in the front of your yard. We've seen that before. Or maybe when a chemical spill goes off and people are in trouble, that they actually deal with it promptly and don't try and cover it up. It's up to you and to decide what you think. But anyway. And then we have just a couple companies that I wanted to show you. UPS said that they are confirming they want to take steps to reduce their workforce in regions where delivery demand has softened. What is that? Well, that's just firing people. I don't know why they say it like reducing the workforce. FedEx, and this is the funny one, FedEx Freight implementing more furloughs amid lower volume levels. Same situation. FedEx, UPS, less packages. Why? Because the economy isn't as strong as they did before. Let's be honest, okay? Let's be honest of what's happening here. Furloughs. The reason I thought it's funny is not that people are getting laid off and fired. It's the furloughs. Furry furloughs. If you remember in 2020, they refused to call it layoffs. They refused to call it firing people. They called it furloughs because it sounds so fantastic. Okay, they're not getting paid. So it's not a furlough. They're getting fired. Let's be real. And then we have this. Doctors are disappearing from emergency rooms as hospitals look to cut costs. So the hospital's cutting the costs. They're cutting the doctor out of the situation. This is incredible. We see that money is going in, like, where's the money at? It's not into that human being. You know, in a hospital, that's where you should have the money being spent, not on all the garbage that they try to force feed people. It should be spent on the actual doctors, the emergency rooms, and all these different things that are actually help people. When you break your arm, you want to go in there, you want to get repaired. But when they, where the money's spent, I can't really talk about it anyway, but let's just say that the healthcare system is not exactly built to keep people healthy and to help them. Anyway, that's it for this video. This was just back into the California issue. You see what I'm saying, and that is cost of living is rising, and everywhere you go, that's a problem. But we gotta really be smart about this. Maybe it makes sense to move. Maybe it makes sense to have a secondary income. Maybe it makes sense to grow a garden in your backyard. Maybe it makes sense to live with, more than one person. If you're a single person in your place, maybe it's best to get two people. Maybe it's best to get four people. And so you can work together. If you have like minds, you could do what you can and make the best of it. I hope that was informative to you. I wanted to bring you the latest and greatest information. As always, you guys subscribe to the channel each and every day. I want to bring you the best stuff. Definitely put your suggestions in the comments below. Please let me know. Comments below what would make this channel the best channel possible. If you don't think it is already, I'm always willing to hear what you have to say. Please put it below, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.